I mean, obviously you weren't trying to you were there doing sometimes drugs with him and it was just part of the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Did you ever be were you ever like, "Oh, man, you this is a lot." You know, and the chain smoking, obviously it was a different era for smoking and it was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of a thing. But yeah, I mean, or were you just kinda like, "I just gotta be the documentarian here. I'm not trying to mold this person."
I never felt like that in those moments. Um, Let me address the cigarette smoking. I thought that was, in some ways, I felt it was more horrible, and I'm not trying to be any champion. If you smoke, guys, knock yourselves out. But he smoked, and I've been around guys who were horrific chain smokers. Ed wins first place. I mean, it was constant, the kind where there wouldn't be one cigarette still burning in the ashtray. There'd be three of them, and he'd light up another one, and he was not conscious of it. You could see it. It was as natural to him as, picking up a guitar pick and playing, and I wrote about it in the book. How horrific it was. And the first time he came over to the house, he lights up a cigarette. And I said to myself, don't let him smoke in here. Don't let him smoke in here. Don't let him smoke in here. A cigarette, cigarette that smell lingers on top of that. And again, I'm not trying to be a crybaby. Cigarette smoke was a huge trigger for migraines. And if no one has ever suffered the pain of a migraine, you would understand when I said you would do everything to avoid it. And cigarette smoke is like one of the worst. But I never said anything. So I thought, I'm being pretty fucking hypocritical, but I never said anything. The drugs, I never felt like, uh, uh, no, like, hey man, you're just here to observe and this and that. I thought I was his friend. I always wanted to say something, but even as a friend, and I think we were close friends, I just didn't feel that I had the right to say anything.
Mm.
I don't know if right is the correct word. Um, uh, I mean, you hear about bands, you hear about John Bonham, and I mean, the other guys in Zeppelin didn't see that, or the guy in the Who, they didn't see Ed Whistle and Moon killing themselves. Did they try to stop it? Did they say anything? I don't think they ever did, and I'm not trying to compare myself with those guys, but it's just like this thing, you just can't. I couldn't bring myself to say something.
Right.
That being said, 90% of the times that we would get fucked up and, um, can I talk a little more specifically about what happened here?
Yeah, of course.
Um, I don't want people to think we were shooting heroin, okay?
Oh,
So
sure, sure, yeah.
we were doing coke, we're doing cocaine. And back in the day, that's the drug that people did, and it was fun, man. It's just like Edward just became this really fun, open guy, and he was always that person. But it was like, and again, I think probably some of those conversations you hear in the audiobook were both fucked up, not to the point of being, unintelligible or comatose, but um, yeah, 90% of the time it was fun. There were one or two times I saw him and I thought, this is not good. I write about both of those moments in the book when his nose was kind of running and he didn't look well,
Mm.
and he always looked healthy. My God, we'd be, fucked up, I'd be out there till 4 in the morning. I'd go home, try to sleep, you know, and then, he'd call at 10 in the morning, hey man, come over, and he was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, his hair was perfect. He was always thin. He never gained an ounce. And you know what alcohol does to a person.
Yeah.
And the other time that was bad was at this NAMM show, and I write about that. And he was bad,
Yeah.
bad. But other than that, no. Um, the smoking was horrible. Um, um, Later, actually, it was after we kind of parted ways. It was right around 2003, 2004. You see those horrific pictures of him, and his hair is up in the samurai bun, and his teeth are gone, and his hair is gone. Terrible, and he's dressed like a speed person. Um, he was heavily into drugs at that point.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and I believe that he was, excuse me, diagnosed with cancer in 2000. wed his marriage wasn't going well, there were problems with the band, so there was a lot of turmoil in his life, and, maybe that was part of the reason why, he sort of cut me loose, I don't know. Um, yeah,
Well,
and as
yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
Well, you talk about cut you loose, and I mean, that's also one of the fascinating parts of the book is this through line of the roller coaster of just, having this intense closeness followed by periods where he would kind of disappear and then coming back in a way that made that you might have been expecting him to be a lot less close, but sort of like immediately falling back into like, oh no, we're buds, it's cool. I just haven't seen you in a minute. To then obviously this eventual, very clear, like, I can't be friends with you anymore. Um, I mean, is it for you just like that happens sometimes when someone gets sober, they, like, feel they need to or are told to cut off certain relationships that, like, were more drug centric? Was it that at the heart of it?
I mean, that's a great question, and I asked him that question towards the end of the book. Um, uh, uh, you've recalled so many moments here, I wouldn't expect to recall every single moment. I remember that because I can remember asking him, being terrified to ask him, because to me, that comes from the same place, like, "Ed, don't do any more fucking drugs, enough already." For me to ask him, "Edward, is the reason that you couldn't be friends with me anymore because I was that triggering you? Was that the reason?" He goes, "No, man, that had nothing to do with it." So I was really,
You almost want that.
e exactly.
It's like,
"Hey, okay, you're gonna if you think I was a trigger when okay." I wasn't gonna argue with him had he said yes and say, "Edward, 99.9% of the times, you're the one who had the drugs and offered them to me."
right.
So I was your trigger, but I'm being selfish here. Uh I don't know. I thought that was a reason, and again, probably the whole book is me trying to lay out these things and trying to figure out what really happened. And I've heard people say certain things, stuff to me after the fact, and um, and again, I write in the book, you can be friends with anybody you want, and if you didn't want to be friends anymore, um, it's not understandable. It's like, hey,
That's
it's
how it
your life.
goes. Yeah.
Right? You can choose to be that person, but I don't think I deserved what you did to me. So that's what I felt was unfair, and
Yeah.
not right. Tried to, you know,
Does it
how do I
does the way things ended or, just change the way you listen to the music? Are you able to listen to it now, or or is that completely separate?
that's such a good question. No, I'd like to say I was more of a human being. I could, look at him as an artist and divorce my own feelings. I couldn't listen to a Van Halen song for years. Song would come on the radio, I go, "Oh, fuck, no," or I'd hear about them getting back together or Dave coming back, or the release of a different kind of Truth record, and just I just couldn't do it, I wanted him to be well, I didn't wish him any ill will, but I couldn't connect with any of that stuff, and I ran from it, you know? Um, I mean, I really did. Um, I mean, I had all the records, and it's like I wanted to put, like, a towel over them so I didn't even see you know, the edge. I didn't do that. But, um, uh yeah. So again, so the years go by and, those feelings kind of dissipate. And then, you just kind of um, connect to those really wonderful moments, Oh my God, man, I miss that. I really miss that, And, I write in the book later on, again, I can remember the exact years, 2014, 2015. I try to reach out to him, "Edward, Steve, man, I miss you, hope you're well," and I never hear back,
Hmm.
you know? And I knew it in my head that I had to make that effort, I had to know, that I tried, And, yeah, so again, 2020, all those thoughts have been going through my head, it's been 17 years, and I've gone through the Black Van Halen period where I think of them, could listen to them, to the point where it's like you go back and you wanna bring back those good memories, and now maybe now I can sit down and, let's see what comes out, and, yeah, took a long
Took a
time,
lot of time. But now, like, today, could you listen and be unaffected, or you it's still hard?
Today that's a good question. Today, I can listen and think, and I think at the outside, I think, "Oh my god, did I was I really hanging out with that guy when he was fucking playing, I'm the one, and he let me borrow his keyboard for Jump, and that's the keyboard?" And
And he's like, "Don't
yeah,
touch the settings." Yeah, yeah.
don't touch the settings, and, yeah, no, the memories are look, I still think about, how things ended, and that hurts a lot, but 80% of it's positive,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I mean, I just realized, and I hate to say this in any kind of a good way, you should have stopped smoking fucking cigarettes and you'd still be here, right? Right? The
Yeah.
cocaine, the drugs didn't get him, the alcohol didn't get him, right? The
Yeah.
cigarettes
And
anyway.
you have in there also, that just popped my memory that he was on record as saying, like, he thought maybe it was, like, because he used to hold his pick in his mouth and it was made of a certain, and it was like, that's still a lot of denial, I assume. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but
Yeah, that was strange because again, he was so open about everything. Though
yeah,
at the very end, he never, not that he should, um, and though I knew him for a little bit after he had been diagnosed, he never mentioned it to me. Even though I write about it, and he brings up, it's confusing if you don't read the book, but he brings up a thing, he says, "Yeah, cancer begins at home." I thought he was referring to the cancer of a bad
yeah,
relationship,
yeah.
and the more I thought about it, I go, "Was he talking about, was he sick?" And I mean, anyway, um, uh, uh, yeah, I forgot my train of
Mm.
thought here. Um,
About,
uh
yeah, just his denial of the
oh, yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
this came from.
Right, exactly. I thought that was incredibly weird because he was so open about everything. Look, did that help? If was it a pit with lead in it? But I mean, even the
Yeah,
doctor said, "No, that
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 doesn't,
wasn't."
yeah.